AAA developers, they basically grew the industry to the point where indie games can exist because the market's so big now that you can make a more punk rock game and there are people out there who will play it.
So I did some work in industry back in 2008. I did over a year at a couple of different studios, and I wasn't really working on anything that exciting. The kinds of games that we were making were very similar to a bunch of other games that already existed. It was like, if I'm going to be making games, I want to be exploring things that other people aren't already doing. There's already enough people solving those problems. I'm a very creative person. Let's see what else I can do. And so the more you have people going towards realism, AAA, big budget kind of things, to me, I was like, that just leaves a big gap for all of the people that aren't being served, in their little, niches and things like that. And we're seeing that, with as everyone's pushing towards Facebook games and free to play, all that's doing is just opening up all of these little pockets for another game to come along and fit in and have all of these people be like, wow, here's a game that serves my needs again, because I don't fit into the mainstream, audience. I'm one of the people that looks for games that, fill all these little pockets that aren't currently being served.
So I've been independent for about 7.5 years now, and before that I actually worked for some of the big AAA gaming companies, and it burned my soul to the ground working for them.
So EA, you get the creature comforts, bigger studio, you get free snacks all the time, and it's much more cushy, but it's a much bigger team, and you're a smaller part of a bigger machine. And then moving to an indie studio or working at Demiurge for so long, I get to wear a lot of hats. Like some days I'm doing straight design work, other days I'm doing very technical work, other times I get to work with artists, so I'm not just pigeonholed into one thing. And it's actually taking on a lot more responsibilities, but I think the job stays fresh and exciting. That's why I've been there for so long.
My first long-term gig was at Hothead Games working on Deathspank, which was super cool, and then from there I moved to Clay on Mark of the Ninja. So I've never worked for a large traded on the stock market company. I don't really have any desire to ever do that.
Indie developers really make games because they want to make games, and that kind of means that you want to do your own thing. You don't want to create something somebody else has made before. So that's one of the things with Super Crate Box. We just wanted to make a game that really explained something we felt about the game industry. I think making a point or just making games because you want to is something that pretty much everybody here wants to do.
So you wouldn't just take a large lump sum of money to work on the next, say, Call of Duty franchise game or something like that?
No, I actually don't think anybody around here would want to do that.
Every gamer, every developer, even everyone who's even learned how to program or 3D they all want to create the game that they want to play. Every single person who got into programming, 99.9% all the people who got into programming for gaming, they did because they have their own creativity that they want to put into a game, and that's a way to do it. And so when you go to a publisher, you lose a lot of that freedom. Not every publisher, I'm sure there's some that are a lot better, but in the end, if you can do it on your own, if you can do it, go for it. And really in this modern day, that bar of if you can do it on your own is getting so low with digital distribution, online downloads. I mean, you don't even, before, the reason publishers got critical in the industry was because there's no way an indie can afford box sets of games to put on retail shelves. But now in the modern industry, you don't need that. So the most important critical element of a publisher is no longer critical. And now, even with viral marketing especially, viral marketing and digital distribution and just being able to eat ketchup and crackers for a little while to finish your game, and right there, you don't need a publisher anymore.
I think it's really, really, really important to continue to push the bounds of what we can do creatively with the medium. And, for various valid or not reasons, it's very, very hard to do that when, tens of millions of dollars are on the line, right? And I can understand that, I guess. But in the indie space, that's totally something you have far, far more freedom to do. And that creative freedom is really, really important. Something that is, I think, one of the reasons why indie games are so interesting right now is because we kind of creatively can take risks that either the large companies won't or can't.
So we're seeing a lot of kinds of genres emerge from that space, and some of them are very similar, but there's a lot of iteration and a lot of innovation going on. A lot of people have been making board games and tabletop games and making iOS versions of those in parallel to working on a digital game that has the same theme. I think that's an interesting thing that's happening. A lot of smaller developers are cropping up, and a lot of established independent developers are making new games. They're finally following up on their first games and second games. We haven't done that yet, but we're working on it. There's something going on behind the scenes. I think it can only get better from here. I think we live in some of the best of times, right? We see all these amazing games and this diversity, and Anna Anthropy just put out a book that everyone should read called The Rise of the Video Game Zinester, where it's just basically saying we need more people making games so that we can see more diversity in the game space, so that we see more girls and more females and more like everything, right? We need more people making things and not just the typical standard white dude, right? I'm that white dude.
People in the independent community all want great games to be made. And the more we stick together, the more power as a group we have. So this Indie Mega Booth thing, we're one of the biggest presences on the PAX show floor because we all got together and organized this together. So it's just been like, it's such an inspiring thing. It really gives you faith in community when you're working with other people that you're ostensibly competing with. So yeah, I mean, all these people are my friends now, and I get to see them 3 times a year at PAX Prime and PAX East and GDC, and they're the best friends that a guy can have.
Well, we all met online and diverse incredibly. We got everything from Egypt, Croatia, Argentina, France, Canada, Spain, Greece. We are everywhere. We use a very agile development system, so we plan like 1 week ahead. So every Monday morning we'll get on, we have our meeting of what we want to do, like what other ideas we have, what we want to get done that week, and we don't try and plan ahead more than that. And we have our long-term schedules and stuff, but we try and work like that so that we can add in all the cool features we think of. So all those ideas that we have over the weekend of, wouldn't it be awesome if we added this? We stick all in the Monday meeting and see what we can get done that week.
You guys don't actually have like a home office anywhere? It's just, you just operate?
We have a home office. Every single one of our homes is our office.
There you go.
The way we started was, of course, we made something and we didn't bet the house on it. Right? We made it in our spare time, and it was a labor of love, and it took us a long time, and we got successful. It worked. That doesn't always happen. I think it's okay for a young person to take that risk. I think we don't have enough creative risk-taking, and there is a danger that everyone thinks they have to go work for a publisher. I think it's fine to do that if you don't want to think. Like, if you want to think and be creative, then you should do that first, because if it doesn't work out, you can always do the other thing. It's not like the one door closes up because you tried to do something creative and risky. Right? So I'd always say try and follow the creative risks first. But if you have a job on the side, that's not the worst thing in the world. Almost every indie I know freelances and does something else, but they also still work on their game projects. And if the game projects take off, they can still do that full time, right? So it's calculated risk, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it.